Folks, hello. We are live. Welcome to Talking Crit. I am one of your hosts, Eric Tenkar. With me is my once a week work spouse, Bad Mike Battalato.
Hello. I see you're on a jungle cruise there, it looks like, behind you.
Well, I figured I changed the setting because, we have a special guest this week, and Lloyd
We do?
actually
Lloyd.
lives in an area where there are trees like this, and I figured I should put myself in a similar location, so I have. So we have with us today. We have Lloyd Metcalf, Fail Squad Games.
No, it's Feihu Games now. I rebranded.
Oh, you son of a!
He's breaking the news here live.
Well, no, it's been rebranded for a while, but we're dropping Fail Squad Games and moving to Feihu Games.
Feihu, okay.
Fehu, yeah, like the rune.
Feihu, okay.
Oh, okay.
Damn it! All these name changes.
I should have done that earlier. I should have announced that earlier, I guess.
Well, now you've officially announced it. Bree, thanks for joining us.
Well, our first commenter, Bree.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be talking to Lloyd today about his, and this, I think this is the first for the show. Lloyd is actually going to launch his Kickstarter for his new game, Floof Quest, on the show. Did we have somebody do that once? I can't remember now. Maybe they did it before the show. I thought we had somebody either do it before the show or during it, but I don't remember. All these guys, these content creators, they all just start running together after a while. I don't even know who this guy is.
They all look the same.
They all look the same. They're all the same problems, the same issues. But yes, he's gonna launch Floof Quest. We're gonna talk about Floof Quest and talk about Lloyd, and Lloyd's going to tell us about his experience at North. See, that's the cool thing about having these people that were also at North Texas. Lloyd's going to tell us about all of his experiences at North Texas, just like Jeff did last week. So that'll be cool. We'll talk about that, and we'll cover all the basics, and then we'll get into other stuff.
Yeah, this week in RPG Stupid sometime after the 9 o'clock hour.
Yeah, we might have. We could have some stupid this week. I think we have some questionable. I don't know if it's stupid, but it's head scratching. But so we'll see.
Head scratch. Well, by the way, folks, look! I have my COVID haircut.
Dear.
And I called it the COVID haircut because I got my mother to cut my hair. So yes, 3 times.
Nothing changed for me. I've always had a COVID haircut. I just take the clippers and go at it.
I couldn't do that, man. I got a bit too much hair for that to work. But I stopped at 16. I stopped having my mother cut my hair, and then COVID hit, and it's like, Mom, do you got like 15 minutes and a chair? Oh, look, we're in the Poconos. Look, I actually have a bar chair I can sit at and cut my hair. So, look, it's almost like I have hair club for men because I think it looks like I dyed my hair, took some of the gray out. But really, we didn't do that. So we already have a question. What's a Floof Quest? That must be because
we're not going to cover that tonight. I wish we could cover that. We don't really have time.
It's a teaser because you could be asking what's a floofer. And then that would probably get us in trouble. So
before we get into Lloyd, I want to. This is totally unscripted. Eric doesn't know I'm doing this. I'm going to be gentle here. Please. I'm going to be gentle.
Okay.
And I just want to talk about something that's just don't really even know how to approach this, but I'm just going to dive right in, and then we can just talk about it for a second, then move on. We are at 944 subscribers, Eric. Pretty close.
No, 952 last night.
Wow, we brought 950.
Yeah,
well, 953. I stand corrected.
So I don't know if that's because we're suddenly becoming popular, and a lot of it's because of me. I mean, let's face it.
Oh God, it isn't because of me. I know that.
Or it's because for our rapport between us. But we've had a spate of sincerity trolls hit Eric and I in the last couple weeks. And by that, I mean people that I'm not going to name any names at all. I'm not going to be specific about the situation. Just the fact that we get these third-party questions like, hi, I'm Bob, and I heard from Fred that you guys blah blah blah. Is this true or not? And it's really weird. We've been getting a lot of these.
Blah, like what? Like make out in the back of an SUV, or
pretty much like that.
Well, pretty much.
And it's just it's the question. True. It's like when exactly did you stop beating your wife? Bob said you stopped beating your wife last week, but I've heard you didn't stop beating your wife till yesterday. So which is it? And I just want to say that Eric and I. This isn't going to work on us, guys. We're more savvy to the ways of media than most people who do podcasts or YouTube. Eric, because of his legal background in the police department, where he was told never to speak to anybody from the media, and myself because of customer service and customer relations.
And you're forgetting the liaison to a city agency that was there to pretty much do everything they could to get at my job, and I was the liaison. So I had to deal with people that were antagonistic and keep it not just friendly but personally friendly. So it was interesting.
So what we're just saying is that if you want to do the sincerity troll thing, I'm really worried about you guys. And I'm really worried that you're not really worried about us. We know you're not. It's insincerity. So just let you know, we know what's going on. So if anybody's watching this and you want to get us in a gotcha and you want us to have to sit down and explain our positions on something in detail so you can pick out what you need, it's just not going to happen. So you might, as Eric is fond of saying, and I agree with, Eric has over 1,000 videos on YouTube. If you need to know something about Eric, just watch his videos, and he has revealed. My blog. He's revealed, yes, and he has a blog. He's revealed how he stands in situations, and so we don't need the when did you stop beating your wife questions. They're not. We know what's going on. So that's all I want to say. We know what's happening, friends. We don't know why they're suddenly occurring right now, but we're going to.
No, we do know why. We're getting to the point. We hit 1,000 subscribers. You kind of jumped a bit in YouTube's algorithm, and here's the issue. I'm retired. You're self-employed, so it's not like you can do anything. So
no,
I think
I wouldn't say we're untouchable. Obviously, we could still get kicked out of the industry for various indiscretions. Much like Lloyd has been kicked out, but yeah. Come on, Lloyd. They're going to find out sometime. Well, you and the chickens.
If I get kicked out of anything, it's that I get kicked out for being a goddamn hippie. Really,
I mean, you live in that. You got that hillbilly hot tub you have in the backwoods of Maine. Yes, I saw that.
How badass is that? It's like it's a 300.
It's great.
Rubber-made horse.
Oh, it's great. It's so
with
awesome.
Copper tubing that goes through a fire pit. And they sell those stupid things online for like $2,000-$3,000, and we had like a few $100 left over after our bathroom remodel. And I'm like, "Hey, Colleen,
hey, boo boo,
you want something really? I'm gonna give you taste the good life, baby. We're making a hillbilly hot tub,
and we live in Maine. That's how we roll up here. We're in the backwoods, butt naked, rolling in the hot tub, and
Mm-hmm.
God bless
you.
We
do.
Chickens are everywhere. It's awesome. So
yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there. We're going to move on though. We don't want to spend time with that. We want to spend time with Lloyd because we got Lloyd on here. Lloyd's one of our favorite people. We heard, at least I heard, right about North Texas. He was doing this thing, working on this thing with his daughter called Floof Quest.
Yes.
And he was going to launch it, but I think you wanted to dot some I's and cross some T's first.
We really had to work out some system stuff because I want Floof Quest to be. Floof Quest is like this introductory sort of adventure for young players or people that are fresh to role-playing games. So I really wanted to simplify the system, and I needed to nail that down before launch. I didn't want to hold up delivery later and all that kind of stuff. So.
Well, tell us a little bit about Floof Quest then, and as I said, you're launching tonight on the show, which is going to be awesome.
I am.
And we'll hope to put you over our goal during the show. Hopefully we can do that.
Yeah. I think I'm hoping that I can share my my desktop. I'm going to take a stab at it. Oh, look, I'm looking at you guys. I'm on the wrong screen.
Oh,
Oh
show
so
my
if you want to
God,
see,
it's
you can go
amazing.
to if you go to Kickstarter, just put in Floof Quest or
Right. But
like I did, Google Floof Quest Kickstarter, and boom, it will take you to the preview page.
it's not live yet.
Not live.
The adventure's called Hassle and the Quagmire. What happens is everybody plays a wizard's familiar, and you're assigned. You get like one of these like characters here, and you can, the character sheets are super simplified. We're using Swords and Wizardry Light, and working through the final pieces of a 5e light. Everything is self-contained in the adventure module, so. Yes, it's like this great introductory game, and young players, people new to RPGs is what I'm aiming at.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So,
I'm
this
such a
is
huge fan of BX and old school 1E stuff that I'm really hoping that when I run my game days locally at the bowling alley and the game store, that I can, instead of bringing players to 5e, I want them to come to my world of BX so I can run games for them there,
Well, this is interesting. We've talked about this before. You actually talked this before the show also. You're been a content creator of quite a while with your old Fail Squad games.
Yep.
You did. I mean, since it's been quite a few years. You've been putting out your own adventures.
Yeah. Ever since I started doing stuff with Zach. Zach sort of helped me do
back in lesser known days.
Lesser known days. Helped me do my first Kickstarter. It was like greeting cards. But to date, I think I've done, it's either 20 or 21 Kickstarters, and they've all been on time or early.
Yeah, Zach said he got you because you were cheap back in that day. So you've been able to parlay that into a career. That's amazing.
Well, I didn't know I've never worked in the RPG world. And I was like, we met at, I think it was GaryCon, and like, he's looking through the sketchbook. He's like, how much for this picture of this beetle or something? And I was like, I don't know, $10, $5, whatever. It's like, it didn't occur to me that was a thing to do.
Well, that's awesome. This whole industry is about making connections, right? I mean, that's how, if you don't get to know people and actually meet people, you're not going to be in a position to sell artwork or write for others. There's some that personal connection is a necessity. Conventions do it. I know that even the Discord hangouts on Thursday night at Tenkar's Tavern on Discord, I know of a number of people who have met up through Discord and gotten jobs as editors and proofreaders and got to sell art because they got to make those connections. And we sometimes don't realize how important that is.
I started, the internet was the thing that leveled the playing field for me. I just gotten a drawing tablet, and the artwork that I was making was kind of terrible at the time when I first got a drawing tablet, and I was just sharing it like on Facebook, and this is way back when, before like GaryCon 5, and Luke Gygax just sent me a PM out of the blue and said, hey, I just wrote my first adventure. Could you illustrate it for me? And I was like, we have a saying in Maine, there's a bear shit in the woods, So I was like, yeah, I'll do whatever, So I was working like 8-hour day and then coming home and doing as 6-7 hours of illustration. Like, what I mean, it was Luke Gygax, for crying out loud, But then he helped me get to GaryCon, and like shortly, and I met Zach, and then shortly after that, I think Zach introduced me to Doug, and we got to North Texas. And just when you start meeting people, and I kept just showing up with a portfolio, and I don't know.
Well, right after we met you, Doug was looking for somebody to do. We used to do flyers for North Texas because we used to be trying to get people. Now we don't really care, or we're hitting our limit of 500 viewers, so we're not as crazy as we used to be, where we're putting up flyers all over town. So Lloyd started out doing flyers for us, and I remember I was like, yeah, Zach's got this artist guy doing this and that. He's like, well, how much does he charge for? I was like, I have no clue. So I think Doug just called you up and said, "I'll give you X amount of money, make a flyer." I don't even know how that worked, but you did flyers for quite a few years for us.
Yeah, well, I still do, but I think Zach was kind of the liaison there initially, but yeah, because I didn't know what to charge, and I mean, I've done flyers for like bars and taverns locally, but I didn't know how. I don't know. Zach was just like, just get this done. He's like, just get this done.
And your credit, you had
24
one
hours.
done like the next day, and so that's, and I'm not going to say all artists are flaky. A lot of them are flaky, and you're an artist, Lloyd. You know this is true, and so we were used to dealing with some very flaky's not probably the right word, eccentric, eccentric type artist types.
There's a challenge in it, like over the years, I've become aware of when I'm starting to burn out. And so I slow down my commissions when I'm burning out a little bit. So
yeah, your new limit.
Do other stuff. Yeah.
By the way, I think I need to turn the porch light on so you guys talk for a second.
But my thing was, we've been used to dealing with people by eccentric. I mean, like, oh, you want that done next week, or can I get it to you in 6 months, or but I just don't feel it right now. I might feel it in like 2 months. We're like, we really need it like tomorrow. And you were great because you're like, yeah, here it is, boom, boom, done, awesome. We're like, oh, we finally found an artist that just actually does work.
Yeah,
it doesn't have time.
That first one was a crunch too, because like my job was terrible at the time. And I was like, and Zach was like nudging me. He's like, no, do it. Don't do this one.
It was a good decision.
Stop doing my stuff. Do this flyer.
Well, I know Doug appreciates on time and what he wants at that time. So that was perfect. That was the perfect thing to do, because then we're like, okay, this is a guy we can rely on. Good deal. We can throw him work, and eventually became a special guest at the con, and which is awesome. And then you've done some stuff for the con.
I'm not on the special guest list.
You're not on the special guest list.
No. He's staff.
Doug has been very clear about that. Like he's like, no, you're on staff. You're not.
Oh, that's Doug's way of getting away without. Yeah, he does that to Zach too, so we didn't have to.
You know what it is, and I know what it is. It's because Jeff Easley and I ate so much food the first year that he had me that he's like, no, that guy.
You're still working it off. You're still working the food off.
Can't afford that.
Well, let's talk about Floof Quest a little bit. Richard had a question. What ages is Floof Quest aimed at? Sounds like something I run my grandkids through, that's me having grandchildren. That's something I'm always looking at myself.
I would like it to be an introductory for young players coming to role-playing games. When characters get to 0 hit points in Floof Quest, they're tuckered out. And after the encounter, it's like, the birds and things are spinning around their head. After the encounter, they come back with a quarter of their hit points and go on with the adventure. It's a short one-shot, like 2 to 4 hour game, So we're keeping the blood and gore out. We're keeping like the death. There's no death saves. There's none of that stuff. You just get tuckered out when you expire, and so I don't know. I mean, yeah, we're kind of handling it with poofy gloves, but I don't mind, because my goal is to bring young players. I'd like to specifically bring young players to the BX and the older editions, but if they're coming to 5e, I don't care. I just want them to come play games, especially at my game days and whatnot that I run. So there's a 5e version and there's a S&W Lite version. So it's
S&W Lite, that game I've heard of that game before. So that's awesome.
Do you mean?
Oh, there he goes. Yeah,
I knew that. And let me tell you.
Let
me tell you how much easier it was to write Floof Quest to S&W Lite than it was to 5e. Scott McKinley has really been instrumental in making the 5e version happen, because we're hammering 5e to death to get it to be 5e Lite, so that you're not flipping through the pages in the player's handbook and all that sort of thing to figure it out.
Right.
But S&W Lite, it's just like, it's like you need a D20 and D6, one saving throw, and you're.
Well, I mean, Floyd, my niece was 6 when I wrote that, and I literally said, when I got my like 3 or 4 preview copies, that Zach, we're all talking about Zach, right? Well, that sent me my copies, and Shannon saw it, and she's like, She took it right from me, and she's like, "Uncle." I'm like, "Yeah, Shannon." She goes, "It's 4 pages." I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "You can teach me to read 4 pages, and then I can play Dungeons and Dragons. I can play. You can teach me 4 pages." And then she didn't give it back. I was like, "Well, I had like 3 copies. Now I've got 2 because my niece has insisted I wrote it for her." In a way, I did. I wrote it so
Right.
you could bring kids in, and I wrote it for people like my wife who likes to play RPGs and has no patience to read the rules. One part of that reason being that she's legally blind, and most games are printed with font that's too small for her to comfortably read. But
Well,
she just wants the enjoyment of playing, and 4 pages she can absorb.
right.
When you hit 400 pages, that becomes a challenge.
When we're at conventions, though, I mean, you're known as Rachel's husband.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's true.
And-
That is not untruth there. That's true. Truth to power being spoken.
And it's funny because I used to work for a sergeant. Her name was Michelle. She became a good friend of mine, and she was married to a full bird inspector, which would be 2 ranks above captain. And when they would go to police functions, everybody would go, "Hey, it's Michelle and her husband Tom," and it's like, he outranks her by 4 ranks, but she was the one that everybody focused on because it was Michelle. Yes, my wife is certainly one that people would focus on, and as well they should, because God knows I wouldn't focus on me if I could help it.
Well, she's got like a 17 charisma or something.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna say it was a dump stat for me, but it was, I didn't prioritize it.
I've seen the online comments about you, so yeah, maybe.
Wow.
So
you see the concern
it's
trolls too. Yeah, maybe he's one of our concern trolls.
I might be.
Hey, Bad Mike. Lloyd said this the other day. I was just wondering if it was true. Now that makes sense. Now you're the Lloyd. You're the one who was asking. Damn.
Yeah.
It all begins to make sense.
No, that was a Lloyd with 3 L's, dude. That wasn't our Lloyd.
So this is kind of a family affair. Your daughter did the some of the artwork or all the artwork on this?
All of the artwork. So
wow.
Raven was saying like she was getting tired of doing Dungeons and Dragons illustrations. She's worked for Pacesetter and a bunch of other people, and she was just like she was saying it was vanilla, like this the standard stuff with swords and scary monsters or whatever was just like tiresome. And I said, well, what isn't vanilla? Like what works? What's more exciting? And she started drawing. She did a short Kickstarter with keychains and stuff with floofy familiars or whatever. And I was like, well, do whatever you want, and we'll make an adventure for it. And she started turning out this artwork, and I was like, well, here's an opportunity. And when I go to conventions, I really enjoy having young players at the table, introducing them to D&D and stuff like that. And I sort of have this like anxiety about running a complicated game at a convention because I might not remember all the rules, and I feel like I'm on the stage and I have to entertain, and I have to be Critical Role perfect all the time or something, and it drives me nuts. So I've been looking for a simpler and simpler system, something that I can run comfortably at a convention without having somebody like who has memorized every word in all of the books.
My 2 favorite con systems are
on page 42, and that's not right. That's your interpretation is wrong. We only have 4 pages.
No, but BX and Sorcerer's Light have become my 2 favorite con versions to run. That's what I've read. That's all I've ever run at cons. BX and Sword and Wizardry Light, because you want to get some of my first. So before Doug and I started cons, some of my earliest con experiences were going to cons and very observantly watching and seeing what worked and didn't work. Mm-hmm. And what didn't work was rolling up your first edition characters at the table and taking 2 hours to decide if you want to be a ranger or druid or whatever. And what did work was handing out, pre-gens. And as time went on, I realized what also worked is that the simpler rule systems because you weren't spending a lot of downtime. So some of the most just absolutely awful convoluted con games I watched. This is when Pathfinder first started coming out, was Pathfinder and 3E games, where everybody wasn't absolutely conversant with the rules. And you would have hour-long discussions between the DM and the players over whether this 3.5 rule did this, that, or whatever. Whereas I'd be watching a game of, like I said, BX, and it's just like boom, 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 boom. There's no questions. Nobody's having a problem.
I think it started for me. I wrote a short adventure with, I think, Christopher Scott Thompson or something, and I brought it to North Texas, and it was in 5e, and I tried to run it. It was for character levels 5 and up, and for 5e, when they hit level 5, the thing gets wacky in power for me personally. I mean, there's nothing wrong with 5e, but I mean, for me, I realized quickly while I was at the table that I totally lost control of the game. There's this I can't remember. There was some magical event or something that happens at the beginning, and you're on a ship, but the thief had this thing where like they could never be surprised, and then they get a bonus action, so they were always backstabbing, and now always just I lost total control of the game, and it just got. I felt like I was railroading all of a sudden just to get through the adventure, and like because somebody knew the system, and they knew how to play the character, I'm sure, properly. And I
had a theory about that. That this came about when I started when 3E came out, and I went to my local store to see how 3E was played because I'd bought the rulebook, so I didn't really understand it. And I got to witness a couple of 4-hour-long arguments between DMs and players about what the rules meant. And that's when I realized the disadvantage that newer systems have is your players know exactly as much about the system as you do because they started playing it exactly the same time you did. Now, if I run even an OD&D game, a BX game, a 1E game, a 2E game, a Swords and Wizardry game, I've probably been playing that system longer than that person I'm running the game for has been, maybe even been alive. So that they're not going to be able to throw anything at me I can't answer in the rules. The problem with newer systems, and it happened at the time with 3E, 3.5, and now it's happening with 5E, is you have players that started playing exactly as long as you have. You don't have any more experience than they do at it, and they think they are an equal voice in the game, which, and a lot of that's because of player empowerment, too, has become about the last decade or so. And so they will argue rule points for you. Back in the day, if I was running a 1E game, nobody argued rule points with me because I've been playing since 1978, and I could just swat away anything. Like, nope, that's not happening. Nope, that's not true. That doesn't work. And so I think that's what you run into, Lloyd, with the 5E is that, you're running into players that they know the rules better than the DM or the guy running the game.
Yeah, well, for me, it's just I just didn't know the rules thoroughly. You know what I mean? And just trying to run and it's I don't bash 5E. It's fine. I'm glad everybody's playing, but a lot of the things I'm noticing, a couple days ago, I spent the entire day rereading Swords and Wizardry and Labyrinth Lord, and it in some BX stuff, and it just sort of everything defers back to the game master. Where 5e it sort of doesn't differ. It does and it doesn't defer back to the game master. Like, I don't know. It just seems to reiterate it more in the BX systems. I haven't played BX that much. I only played it briefly before we went to AD&D. So I don't know if it's that I've played longer than anybody else. It's just that the system is something that you can just put handles on and drive a little easier.
You can steer it the way you need to. Here's the way I look at it. 5e is made to give the game master, the DM, an actual set of rules that will cover 99% of possible outcomes and situations. Whereas Swords and Wizardry and similar games give you something to cover about 75% of situations, and the other 25%, it's the DM's, it's trust the DM to be judicious and find something that will fit. 5e breaks when you can't find that 1%, or if you don't remember the other 99%. Whereas BX and Swords and Wizardry, if you can't remember that 75% and you just make something up, it probably doesn't break. It probably goes along just as well.
I'm a better 5e player than I am a DM, so
I think that would be
I
most of us.
I don't mind playing it as long as I have like D&D Beyond and things. But writing, it's just when I'm reading through Labyrinth Lord and stuff, I'm hopping out of my seat because I'm getting so excited about it.
So you're gonna launch this thing anytime soon? I'm ready to.
Yeah,
I'm ready to throw
it.
money at you, man. I want. I've got money burning a hole in my pocket.
All right.
That I want to spend.
Let me go back to my.
Please let me spend money.
Let me go back to my share screen, and let's do it. Oh, and then of course we're looking at you guys' face again.
Oh,
I'm on the wrong screen.
My
beautiful
unlit face. I gotta like lean into.
I could look at that fat guy. I could just look at his eyes and just lose myself in those limpid pools of hazel.
I'm only shooting for $500, and I'm able to do that because I can order very few. One of the cool things about this project is it's full color from front to back, and each one is only $11 for print.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I found a way to get them cheap, and I'm going to deliver them as cheap as I can. Are we ready? We're going to prepare to launch.
Yeah.
Yes, and when you do, send me a private chat of the link to the Kickstarter, so I can. I don't know if you can share the links, but I know I can share links.
Oh, so. Okay. Yeah, I can send you a private chat. Okay, we're going to launch now. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Drum roll. Here we go. Boom.
Bum, bum, bum,
oh, it actually says drum roll. And it is live. We are live.
Live.
Hey, you want to see the video?
From the beautiful state of Maine. There we go.
Bigger Games is finally here, and we need your help to bring it to life. In this Swords and Wizardry, or simplified 5e introductory adventure, you play a wizard's froggy flute familiar on a quest to save the swamp.
Lloyd sucked the helium for this one.
New friends, and definitely have a fun adventure story to tell.
I don't know if you can hear the audio or not.
Yeah, we can. That's why I said you sucked on helium.
Role-playing games. We've simplified game mechanics to help new players learn the basics of role-playing while having fun. Everything you need is in this one full-color adventure module from Bayou Games. You can even get your own collectible handmade froggy poofy flutes to join you at the game table. Thank you for helping us bring Floof Quest to life with new ways of playing, a new type of adventure, and new stories to tell.
Nice.
So it's live.
I just got the email notification. Back another project by Lloyd. So there we go. I got the link now. So I am going to send the link. Although it's a prior backer link, but hey, it'll all work.
My password to get into, even though I go to Kickstarter like once a day, I can without my password book here. I can't remember my password. So,
all right, folks, I put the link. I put the link in the chat.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, thanks to the video intro. It's funny that video intro. It seems like so simple, but it took me an entire day to do that short video. And that's my voice. I do all sorts of like voiceover stuff, and I have to use the software to change my voice.
I thought I was like, I'm gonna suck on the helium. There we go.
Yeah, well,
I was close, man.
I wanted Raven to do it, but she actually has the flu right now, so I didn't want her to come over and record while she had the flu. So I did the voiceover.
David Thompson, need to produce soft toys of the familiars for the kids to buy. Dude, yes, there's a marketing opportunity.
Those poofy floofs, I had a seamstress specially make them. She even dyed the fabric. There's only 5 because that's all I could pre-order, and I didn't want to hold up the Kickstarter because it takes her time. She does them by hand. And how are skills handled? I'll tell you, frankly, we discarded most skills. It defaults back to ability checks because I wanted to keep it super simple. You can throw in skill checks if you want, but I don't have them. More stuffed animals. Yeah, Zach. I know. Zach told me to have more stuffies, and I tried. I contacted the gal, and it's taken her a couple of days just to go back through all of her fabric and see if she's got some more. So what I may do is, instead of like having them be ordered through the Kickstarter, what I may do is just buy a bunch, as many as she can make realistically, and get them in and then resell them. But it'll be after the Kickstarter, I'm sure.
Right, but still, I mean, that stuff is always awesome. Everybody wants the tchotchkes. This stuff.
I know, right? I wish I had more. So, we might do. I might do some like keychains or things, but Kickstarter tried to do add-ons, and they did a terrible job of it. If you use add-ons through Kickstarter, it screws up the back end thoroughly.
Mm.
So, like, you don't like. I can't just go to a single backer level and get that backer information. I get everything from everybody on a spreadsheet forever, and it's a nightmare. And Backer Kit last time held up my Kickstarter. We were just like frozen because they wouldn't release my surveys or something like that, and they weren't answering my emails. They just kept saying like that I had to do something, and what I was looking at said they had to do something, and they gave me a refund, and I won't use them anymore.
Oh, geez, that sucks.
But there's a reason that I've done 2021 Kickstarters and delivered them all on time. It's because I keep it simple and I keep it manageable,
Right.
And Zach actually gave me some of the best advice on Kickstarter. He said, when can you realistically deliver this? And I gave him a date, and he's like, okay, now add a month because stuff is going to happen.
Yeah.
And it was great advice.
True.
It holds true. So whenever I think I can deliver, I add a month just in case.
Yeah, no, your Kickstarters have been spot on, and it's a rarity, but it's not a rarity amongst the people that I consider my friends in the industry. They seem to all be on point and understand that this is. If you're in this as a business, it's not a hobby. You got to treat it like a business, and Lloyd treats this like a business.
Yeah, so the writing is done.
Well, that's very important because you look at Kickstarter. And a lot of people we've had on the last few weeks, all the people we've had on, Jeff Talanian, on back. It's very important to them they get their Kickstarters out on time, and they don't overpromise and underwhelm you. And they have very good communication. That's the other thing too. Is look, you could be late on a Kickstarter because almost everybody's late on their Kickstarter. Communication is the key. The time you start seeing people get ugly and the torch mobs forming, are when you don't hear from somebody for a month.
Right.
My writing is done. I just got the 5e edit back from Scott McKinley. My Swords and Wizardry Light version is all set, and then Scott Swift is my final editor. So he'll get everything. Tomorrow I'm going to look at what Scott McKinley just sent me tonight. So the 5e light version is all set. Yeah, we're done. Kind of. So the Kickstarter is just so that I don't order piles and piles of books and sit on them.
Oh God, yeah. Not the way you want to run a business. You when you're sitting on stock, that's cost. Yeah.
Right. So I mean it's kind of pre-sales. It's not really pre-sales, but I mean, I keep a little operating capital so that I can pay the editors and artists like Raven for stuff, and then we launch the Kickstarter and I make it up later. Bob is asking about AppleCon. What's happening with AppleCon this year is we're just doing a single day free game day at the local game store. But there are new owners at the Cornish Inn, and I haven't met with them yet, but it's on. They kind of want us, I think, but I need to go meet with them before I promise anything for next year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Cornish Inn was sold. And that venue was like, that's what made us like as Tim Cass called us, the boutique con of the Northeast. It was really like a 16-room Victorian inn in Cornish, Maine, like a classic Main Street with antiques and all that stuff. So in the fall in Maine, of course, the
Right.
foliage, and we're halfway between the White Mountains and the sea coast of Maine with the lighthouses. So it's primary. It's a great location. We just got to get that inn back, and I think it's coming.
Nice.
Do you have any alternatives if you couldn't get the inn back? Is there any kind of alternative you think, or is that just the kind of area where there's not a lot of options?
There aren't a lot of hotel options unless I go to Portland, and then the cost, the overhead gets huge.
And then it's not AppleCon anymore, right?
And it's not AppleCon, right? And I could do, I could go to New Hampshire, but then it's New Hampshire. It's not Maine anymore. I could do the fairgrounds, but there aren't any hotels. It's fairgrounds. It's camping. So, yeah, it is what it is. We'll get there. The new owners are Rick, the previous owner, was pretty eager to tell the new owners about us, and he said that they were excited to talk with us. So, AppleCon is likely to happen next year.
Okay.
And this year it's just game days. I'm doing game days at the local bowling alley, game days at the game store, and going to as many conventions as I can before this Delta variant kicks up.
Oh, geez, tell me about it. Real life, no es bueno.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm emailing my wife because I said, I wanted to know what my eBay password was. Not eBay, my Facebook. And so I have a book with all my passwords in it because that's what old people do. And she was having the time of her life trying to read my handwriting. Because it's good to know if somebody found that book, they wouldn't be able to get into any of my accounts. Because apparently, according to my wife, my handwriting is absolutely unreadable. And so she read me off what she thought it said, and from there I was able to guess the password. So I'm in. I'm going to be able, and I see you're already you're already halfway to your goal, man. We're great.
Halfway to the goal in just a few minutes we've been on. Like, thank you. Like you guys. I mean, it really means a lot to me. I'm really pleased with this project. Like I said, like getting young players at the game table puts me over the moon. I really like introducing new people to BX and stuff like that, and Swords and Wizardry.
We were really excited because I've been reading. We were talking about that, and you had talked a lot about because I remember when you first started doing 5e, it was one of those things like I really don't know, and it's not my game because you just love old school type stuff. And then a few weeks ago, I guess we had a conversation online where you said, you know what? I'm going to do what makes me happy. What makes me happy is BX and OSR. I was like, wow, that is great. And I said, have you ever checked out Swords of Wizardry Light? And I guess you never had, or if you had, you hadn't really looked at it too closely. And
I passed out a whole bunch of those those flyers. I really did, but I hadn't really pushed my brain into I'm going to create for this. I guess I don't know.
That was great. I mean, it's a fun system. I love the system. I just finished writing 3 adventures for it for Eric when we decided to go ahead with pub crawls, and it's just the easiest system to write in. Like I said, it's very similar to BX, and I love BX the same reason because I can turn my brain off and just write something. I'm not caught up in what are the rules, or like you were saying earlier, Lloyd. What is somebody going to find the rules to screw me on this or go get past this or do whatever. And I don't have to worry about that with the systems like Swords and Wizardry Light and BX because you know how the rules work. You've run a million games with those. You know where the advantages are, the disadvantages are. You know what spells can do, what spells can't do. You know what the character classes can do, what they can't do. And so it's much easier to write for those systems because you see everything in your head as you're writing it. You see, okay, here's what the players could do. And like a lot of times in the pub crawls I'm writing, there'll be a situation I'll say, and I just throw this in for the DM's help as well as mine. I'll say, well, here's 3 or 4 ways that players could get past. Like, for instance, let's say you come to a door and the door's locked. Well, in Swords and Wizardry Light, there's much fewer ways to get in than there would to say AD&D First Edition. You can pick the door, but what if the pick lock doesn't work? Well, the players can't get in. Oh, well, they can. They could use a knock spell, right? Knock spells get you in. You could break the door down. That's always something you could do, anyway, if they, and so I put in, if they have a sledgehammer or a crowbar, it's going to take them a few hours. They can break it. So I give there's various ways. There's never, but it's harder to do that. The bigger the system is, it's harder to account for every single situation.
Right.
Because if you're talking first edition, you can say, okay, well, they could do a pass wall, they could summon an ogre to tear the door down. I mean, there's all these different ways. Whereas when you're talking a system like this, let's say BX or Swords and Wizardry Light, there's only X amount of ways to get in there, and you can cover all those different ways.
It can happen in any system. It's familiarity with the system is what it really is. I remember playing first or second edition game, and I created this complex dungeon with many, many levels, and the one of the people playing just said, I cast Wraith form and go to the bottom level. And I was like,
oh,
yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
So
you're like, I forgot that spell. Dang it, that spell can let you get in there. Oh.
For me personally, I mean, I don't, and again, I don't want to bash the system. I just, for me personally, I struggle with 5e and its lack of familiarity. It's like there's just, I find myself continually, when I'm running 5e, I'm continually nullifying character abilities, and I start to create this like adversarial DM.
And also, that's considered very bad. Yeah, that's considered very bad DMing. A lot of people talk about that when you have to nerf the rules to make something happen. Like a good example that some people use is that let's say you have undead in your dungeon. But undead is very powerful to low level characters, and so and even Gary even did this in B2 Keep the Borderlands. Well, there's one place you go in and the undead, they're skeletons, but they're wearing medallions that make them turn to zombies, and you're like, okay, number one, why don't you just make them zombies if you're going to make, why would you make such a specific item? But it's there to make the thing tougher, but it's kind of a cheat. It shouldn't really be in there. The rules should, like you were saying, that creates the adversarial relationship, because then players are like, why are these skeletons turning into zombies? Oh, because they have a magic medallion that makes them turn to zombies. Like, why? I mean, just, why are you doing that to us? Why are you screwing us, man? It's to trick them. Say, oh, these are only skeletons. We can take them on. Well, no, you can't. They're actually going to turn into zombies. And so, you need to eliminate those adversarial relationships. You're the DM. You're the impartial judge. You want to see them succeed. You want to see them succeed, right? You want to see them do well.
Right. And so what FloofQuest does is as an introductory where I really lean into the group storytelling mindset, where the Floof Master and the players are telling the story together.
Yep.
So that's the real goal. And that's why I just wanted to get the mechanics out of the way as much as possible, and especially for young players, if they're like 8, 9, 10 or something, it's you can't just bombard them with skills and feats and 100 classes and things. So what I did is I just stuck everything that a player can do is right on their character sheet, and that's it. If it's not on your character sheet, don't worry about it. So the Floof Master can add in like items and things and stuff that characters can do, but you're not like going to flip through the books and specific spells and stuff. So we really simplified it, and Scott's here. Hi, Scott.
And that's one of the draws to games like that. That's one of the reasons when I first started introducing my kids to D&D, my oldest grandson, he learned with BX, which was okay. But when the younger kids came their turn, they weren't quite as invested as Jake was. They were more like, we'll play, but we're. And so when I pulled out Swords Wizardry Light, they were like immediately invested. It's like 4 pages. We can know this, and everything you need is on those 4 pages. Everything's on there except for things that I introduced to the game. Like if I give you a potion of healing, I'm going to tell you what that potion of healing does. If that's not in the rules. Magic items aren't in Swords Wizardry Light, or it doesn't describe them. You make up your own magic items. Well, they loved it. They love to play Swords Wizardry Light because it's just they don't have to remember things session to session. I just hand them one of the little 4-page rule. Okay, here's my spells. Here's what I do. Here's my powers. It's all on here. Boom.
For me, it was the red box for Frank's red box. And it S&W Light sort of feels like the red box again, where we all tried to save Alina like 100,000 times. We didn't want her to die.
Oh, Scott, you don't have to lie, Scott. Wanted to say working with Lloyd is great. Come on, dude. Look, just blink your eyes twice if you're being held prisoner.
He's only saying that because I say, ask me how much I owe you, and I just send him the money.
Yeah. Send us a secret. We'll read the first letter of every word in the next sentence you write, or the next few sentences. We'll know where Lloyd's keeping you. We will send. We're going to send a rescue party to Maine. Probably in that hot tub. You probably got it tied up in there. You're going to turn up the heat unless he says, this is great.
Colleen's out there right now stoking the fire on that puppy.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah,
geez.
it all begins to make sense.
See, when Rach finds out about the hot tub, she's like, "You got to get one up here in the Poconos. Your parents will love it." I can
Hey
just
man,
see it now.
you sit out there with a banjo. It's life, man. I really enjoy living in the country. Maine is magical. There's no doubt about it, and it's inspirational for writing adventures. I had a short conversation with Larry Elmore one time about the White Mountains, and you can almost during most of the season you can see snow up there on Mount Washington, and it's when you drive up through Mount Washington in the fall, it's like, and I've done it 100 times, and I still lose my breath every time I do it. The Poconos are similar. I've driven to the Poconos in the fall.
Oh, the Poconos are beautiful in the fall. I mean, listen, I tonight is great. Tonight it's about 60 degrees, and it's going to go down to, I think, 52. I love it. Though I'm sitting out here in short sleeves, I am actually wearing long pants as opposed to shorts because I knew it was like just getting a little chilly.
Pants are so overrated.
Oh well, listen. New York gets very warm in the summertime. That's just why I usually have the droning of the AC in the background when I do this crap. But instead, we have the flickering of the LCD light behind me.
Does it really get warm, or you guys just haven't invented air conditioning yet? Because I'm always amazed when I hear about how you guys in Wisconsin and New York, whatever, like you don't even have air conditioners. When you live in Texas, that's lunacy. That's like saying, "Yeah, I go to work every day and I walk on my hands to work." You're just like, "What?" So saying you don't have AC in Texas is like, no. What are you talking about? That's crazy.
Mike, I have an AC in all my rooms in New York.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Here's the secret, though. Here in the Poconos, there is no AC. Okay. Now that being said, there's probably two or three nights in the summertime where the house will retain the heat, and you actually do have a clammy, sweaty night. But usually, I turn the fan on to blow air through, and you sleep like a baby.
That's incomprehensible. I'm going to refuse to believe it. I just don't believe that there's actual places like that in the world. So I'm sorry, because it's although I think I've mentioned this before in the past few shows. This has been absolutely the mildest summer that I can remember for 20 years. We've been 100 degrees like maybe one day. It's been in the lower 90s, and here's the big deal: at night it gets in the 70s. Now Texas. What kills you is a lot of summers it'll be like 100 degrees, and then when it gets dark, it gets down to 90, and so you never get cool. You're never cool at any point. Your air conditioner's just going running all day long. This has actually been an extremely mild summer for us, and the funniest part is it's been milder than apparently some parts of Oregon and Washington State. They've been worse than we are.
When we were there in June for North Texas, it was
amazing.
It
was nice. It was beautiful.
We went downtown. There was a samurai armor museum and stuff. So we spent the day like walking around outside a little bit for part of the day. And
it's very unusual in Texas. And you guys have been to enough North Texas where you've been when it's been hot, and it's a miserable.
Outside, and it's like you get smacked in the back of the head.
Yeah.
That's what I'm used to growing up with, yes. And so this summer has been just absolutely wonderful. It's been just great not having to deal with that. But yeah, you have air conditioners everywhere in Texas, even on the coast. I mean, everywhere's got an air conditioner because you never know when you're going to get those miserable, 100-degree days just out of nowhere with 80% humidity.
It's no different in Maine. We just have various types of heat. Where you guys run from AC to AC, we run from wood stove to wood stove. That's all.
Fair enough. Ask the guys about alignment. Tenkar seems like a definite lawful grumpy, and Bad Mike satanic neutral.
I'm more chaotic something. Chaotic Satan. Chaotic something. I see myself as more chaos than neutral. Maybe chaotic, neutral, satanic. I don't. Let's work Satan in there somehow.
Wow.
God.
See, when you have to throw tendencies in, that's when the alignment system really starts breaking down.
And by the way, so well, let's look at Floof Quest. I see 300.
It's almost funded.
Oh,
It's
great.
at 418. We're almost at 500.
Nice.
Holy crap.
I don't even have the funded graphic ready yet.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's great. Like Jeff before you last week, you also attended North Texas this year, as you have many other years. This year was a little different because you got to bring your wife, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And your daughter came, which is cool too. It's got to be cool to have your daughter there too. So let us know what was your year in North Texas like? What did you do this year?
It was great. I mean, we missed seeing Doug. I don't know.
Obviously,
Doug has been like this huge support person for me. He's always been. People say that Doug is sort of short and doesn't take time, but that's not been my experience. Like.
No, that's just with me. He's okay with you, Lloyd.
Maybe, that's
just with me.
When Doug calls me and we want to talk about stuff, he'll talk for like an hour and he'll answer like whatever whatever. He's been a big support for me. So we really miss seeing Doug but it was nice having Raven and Colleen there. Ben Burns bought Raven her ticket to get there, and Colleen and I were just sort of like, well, and Raven was sort of moved back to Maine at the last minute. So
it was a real crazy situation where she lost her ticket basically at the last minute, which sucked.
She didn't fly out anymore. Yeah,
a bunch of us we all kicked in and all that, Lloyd. There's a bunch of us that kicked in, so that was we wanted to see her there. Everybody wanted to see her there. We knew she needed it, so a lot of us kicked in. So that was great. And Ben was great. Ben bought it, and so it was awesome.
My biggest faux pas of the entire thing was I didn't understand how like the raffle things worked. Like everybody thought I was like during the auction that one item each, and in my mind when you pulled a wooden nickel out of the hat, that was like the winner got everything.
Oh no, back it up a little bit. So this year we did the regular raffle. We had one. It was also you could buy this wooden nickel, and this wooden nickel. It was all this. We had a whole table full of art. It was mostly art stuff. I got some James Shields sketches. I mean, this is all original. A lot of this is original stuff. It's all original stuff.
I had some Jeff Easley sketches.
Yeah, it was a nice prize. And so you had, I want to say 100 nickels made up. Or was it
I had 100 wooden nickels, and like people bought them for I don't know, like $20 or something. But everybody thought that like every time you'd keep pulling numbers and they'd get one of the prizes. And in my mind, I thought a raffle was like you pull a wooden nickel and you just win the whole business. And I think John Larson won the whole business. And I was like, there you go. And sort of folks were like, wait
a second. I threw $20 into here.
I don't understand how this stuff works, guys.
I mean, it was fine. I mean, look, $20 is $20. I mean, come on, man. I mean, you're taking a chance to win, just like everybody had the same chance to win. So
it was like rolling a percentile.
So what you're saying is they thought you were going to draw a bunch of nickels to give away a whole bunch of stuff, and it was just one big prize. There you go.
Yeah. So apparently, I didn't understand. Like apparently, when you do a raffle, you just like you keep drawing numbers and you get one of the prizes on the table. I didn't know that.
Well, it was your raffle. Well, you could do whatever you like. If that's if you want to just do it all at once, that's fine.
I felt that it was like a social faux pas or misunderstanding. I didn't understand like how that process worked.
That's why Steve Getty had you behind. He and Alex Kamer had you behind the building later on. They were kicking you in the nuts. That's why. I didn't know why that was happening. So yeah. So that makes sense now. It all begins to come together.
Well, Alex Cameron was selling tickets for $5 a piece to kick me in the nuts. So there's a big line. That's what the line was out there. Like you'd go behind the taco truck and you could kick away the nuts if you had extra $5, and then Alex would spend the $5 at the taco truck. That's
Alex doesn't watch our show, so we can talk about.
Oh, okay. Well,
go ahead. I don't think he watches.
That's better than being able to kick 10 car in the nuts if you win the 3 caps reward.
We could make so much more money if that were true, though.
But by the way, I have to add something very, very quickly. We had a surprise listener to our show last week that wanted me to correct me on 2 things the 2 weeks ago when we had our Swords of Wizardry unboxing. Zach Glazer was very quick to call me and point out my mistakes. I made 2. One was that the box was not printed in the United States. It was printed in China, which I don't know how that helps us to say that because we're helping. But yes, the box was not printed in the United States. Apparently, I at one point mentioned the box was printed in the United States. It was not. It was printed in China. And the other point he wanted me to tell that I can't remember. So there you go, Zach. Time
out. Let me get this straight. We're correcting two things, of which we
I only
only
remember
recall
one
of them.
I can't remember what.
So,
I'm sorry.
folks, when we and again, we will own up to our mistakes. Well, here's one that we're gonna have to own up to a second time.
I'll just have to get it later on. Well, look, once again, Zach isn't watching our show, so I mean, he just happened to watch that week because it was about Swords and Wizardry. So screw you, Zach. Hey, Zach, you know what? Can you hear this? How about if I turn it up a little bit? So, so Zach's not here, so we could, who cares? And Jen's not here either, so we can say whatever.
Zach was commenting earlier, so
no, he's I don't know. He's got something to do. He's big time now, so I don't know what he does. He's probably going to take pictures of his dinner later. It's going to be caviar and lobster and something like that.
Oh, jeez.
I'm starting to suspect that he's going to these restaurants with a VR headset.
I'm surprised he doesn't have a deal yet with somebody as a sponsor. I've been trying to get a whiskey sponsor now for 2 years and haven't got that yet. But Zach could easily get a restaurant sponsor.
He pours a whiskey drink. He pours a cider drink. What's the publication entry deadline for Three Castles?
It is so for those of you who did or didn't know. Last year, we did not give away an award because we only had 3 entries, all very good entries. We didn't feel like it was fair to the people involved to only have 3 entries, and a lot of it was COVID related. You would think with everybody staying at home last year, there'd be all these releases, and there weren't. It's really weird. It's like COVID had this negative effect on people's creativity, and so. But the point was, people didn't want to release stuff during COVID because obviously you didn't have the same avenues of publication that you weren't able to go to cons. So with only 3 entries, we held those 3 entries over, and the deadline this year is going to be the end of September. So anything published up until the end of September this year, so another couple months, is eligible for the Three Castles Award next year, which will cover actually 2 years. So I believe that covers Dare Luck Club. Lou, if you want to throw that in there, I'd love to see Dare Luck Club in there. But yes, so anything published up to September of this year is eligible. So yeah, Flute Quest. If Flute Quest comes out before then, it will be eligible, Lloyd. So get that out in the next month or two.
I have delivery set for October, but we're actually a little ahead of where I thought we would be for getting the 5e rules together. So, I mean, I'm not going to promise early delivery, but I got you. I suspect it could happen, but I've got October set as my safe.
So Lou, what types of games? Any RPG, and it could be a rule system, a supplement, or an adventure for RPGs. So anything along those lines is permissible. And for those who don't know, the Three Castles Award, it's an OSR game award. Now, we have never said that WotC can't send an entry in. I don't know why they would want to, but
good point.
Through design, a lot of the larger companies like Frog God never submits anything. It's because it's kind of seen in the industry as more like a small publisher award, and so a lot of the larger publishers have deliberately not released stuff for Three Castles because they don't want to crowd out the smaller I mean, let's face it, a lot of these larger publishers can afford a bigger budget, for art and for layout and stuff like that.
Right.
We're really seeing what the best OSR type item is every year, more than just the most elaborate kick-ass item. So anything published RPG wise is usually acceptable.
Lloyd, you funded, by the way.
Drinks on Lloyd.
Hey, thank you, everybody.
Pizza.
Wow, that was fast.
Dang.
That was how many minutes was that? I didn't.
That was less than an hour. Minutes? Probably about 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's shut it down then. Looks like you made your money. You don't need anything from us.
No. Let's not talk about shutting down Kickstarters.
Okay. Let's keep it
shut down one of my Kickstarters. Let's not.
No, we're joking.
No,
folks.
We want Flute Quest to go the distance.
I had written a Castle Misdemeanor extension, and Wizards was like, no.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. Yeah, as much as they let people get away with, well, we'll probably talk about that in this week in Stupid, but they I don't think they really let people get away with that like you would think, because I think behind the scenes there may be some C&Ds issue for stuff.
Quite possibly.
They
What's
didn't
life without a few
they didn't
C&Ds?
directly send me a C&D, but they complained to Kickstarter. And Kickstarter just shut me down.
They're usually, honestly, the couple of times I've had to deal with them, they actually were very nice in that they didn't send a C&D. They instead just very
inquiry.
they just said, this probably isn't a good idea.
I completely own it. I was really close to their IP.
You're put.
I didn't have Bargle, but I think I changed like one letter of his name or something. Yeah. Jason Brown wants a copy of that, whatever I have written for that. I may rework that and distance it a little more from Wizards of the Coast and see if I can get away with it again.
Well, you have parody laws, right? I mean, you're allowed to parody stuff. Would it be considered a parody, or is that just still too close?
I think only if it's Floofquest it would be a parody. Yeah. But I was definitely treading on the IP, like Castle Misdemeanor. I changed like one letter of the name. I don't know. I thought I could do it. I've seen other people do it. I should have known that I wouldn't get away with it.
You are just too well known,
sir.
You're
fame,
too well
known. If Wizards of the Coast is watching me and they shut me down, that's my claim to fame. Well,
at least you publish stuff that there's people in the industry who shall remain nameless who think that even years and years and years after they produced anything, that Wizards of the Coast is still watching them, which I hate to be the one to tell them, but Wizards of the Coast doesn't care what they do anymore. So,
yesterday I went out and bought a whole bunch of dollar store dice, so I think I'm going to put like games on them.
What's the name? Yeah, Fayhue. Put Fayhue. Put Fayhue games on them. I think that's a great idea.
Instantly collectible, man.
Yeah. Oh, it's major collectible. Yeah, definitely. I wish I wish I had some of those TSR dice. Dang it. Those are that would be great for the midnight auction next year, man.
Yeah.
That's a big hilarity. Hilarity would ensue as Satan pulls those dice out.
So it is 9:10 now. Just a heads up. Probably in about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how lucky we are, you might lose me for 30 seconds as I go from dying laptop to iPad, because I'm at 17%. So if I blank out for 30 seconds, you'll know ahead of time. I'll be going, the time is near.
Right, because they create up there in the Poconos, they make electricity with hamsters in the wheel, right?
Well, I have no extension that will reach onto the back porch, and if I did this inside, already my parents have come to the door like 4 times to look at the zoo creature and what he's doing in the back porch. I can only imagine if I was in the kitchen doing this. Rach is doing yoga upstairs, so this was the best solution I could find. So, and by the way, I have to use a hotspot because yes, the DSL sucks shit. Oh my god.
Oh, Zach is having his revenge in the comments. Wow.
Who no longer works for Frog God? What?
He was saying that's the correction I need to make, that I no longer work for Frog God Games. That Zach. He's so funny. At least I hope it. Yes, thank you, Jan. Thanks for taking him up for me. My devilettes are loyal to me.
Do I need to remove Zach from the show? Listen, we one day we actually have to get Zach without his once a week work spouse, which is Skeeter. We need to get them separately so they can actually talk honestly.
Yeah, because we had that time we had Skeeter on, he told us all kinds of stuff about Zach that, wow, it was wow. You just need to look that show up. It was shocking.
Oh, hi, Jen.
Shocking, I tell you.
Shocking. It's almost it's kind of hard to say, but I really do owe a lot of where I am to Zach. When we first met at that first GaryCon, he just showed up with those Thopus minis, and like I just started like I'll illustrate for you, and I got home and like a week later I had like 2 full-time jobs. One was illustrating for Zach and one was working at my web design day job. and but it really got the wheels rolling. It got me. It made me it want to improve my artwork. It made me realize that there was a life there, and when that first Kickstarter succeeded with the box set that was really ambitious, he bought me the Wacom Cintiq. Was sort of my payment out of that, which is like it's a huge deal. You know, if anybody's like an illustrator or digital artist or something, that even one of those Cintiqs was big. So I owe Zach a huge debt of gratitude. It's sort of hard to say that sometimes because I want to keep jabbing him in the ribs about something, but
that's how he gets you, though. It's like a drug dealer. The first one's free, and then after that, it's you owe him.
Yeah.
Oh, you owe me, man. Shit. Yeah. No, it's interesting because that's obviously when we first became familiar with you was on the Whisper and Venom box set, which really revolutionary for its time because one of the things that Zach had said about that was that he wanted to make the box set that he always wanted to make. So he lost money on it. It was so nice. It was such a nice set and it had everything, but it helped that it had really professional art because that was kind of a issue up until then because not a lot of people were necessarily using just guys as artists. They all wanted to get Elmore easily or, Otis because you kind of had that thing where everybody, like Goodman Games was going back and finding all the old TSR artists and getting covers done. And you had a few of the new guys popping up like, William Oslin and stuff like that. But that was kind of cool that, he had somebody that nobody had ever heard of yet doing the art, and the art was pretty darn good.
And most of it, almost all of it was for that first box set was pen and ink on paper, and then I'd scan it and sort of spruce it up in Photoshop. So I sent Zach. Zach has most of the originals. It was a big fat stack of stuff, and I sold a whole bunch of them when we were in Milwaukee to pay my rent one month. We were short, but I think just doing like old fashioned ink on paper sort of made it feel like an old school product too.
I think you're right. And I remember I knew Zach from doing the blog, and we spoke online. So when I went to my first North Texas, you and Zach were working the table for Whisper and Venom. And I got to see a lot of your original pencil and ink drawings. And I was like, holy shit, this guy is... It's one thing to see it in a product. It's another thing to see it in front of you and be able to hold it and go, damn. I think I actually bought one of them from you.
I think you may have. I was struggling through a lot of like stuff too because it was like when I was doing those, I realized that I needed to learn a lot more about anatomy and composition and a lot of other things. But kind of like that kind of artwork that feels sort of like you could almost do it yourself is what made the BX and AD&D stuff relatable to me. Like that monster manual cover was terrible, but I liked it because I'm like I could draw those monsters.
There you go.
Well, it's funny because someone and Eric and I talk about the subject a lot about how we have such rose-colored glasses for the past, and I've said many a time. I'll swear, I'll go to my grave that if Barrel Maze came out in 1981, it'd be considered the greatest adventure of all time ever written because at the time there was nothing, everything that was coming out. Although we have a huge tinge of nostalgia about it. A lot of it wasn't very good, and the artwork, it was the guys they got. They're very lucky they had Tramp and Sutherland and the guys to start with, but. A lot of that stuff wasn't very good. I mean, technically, it really wasn't. But we look at it now and just, this is just amazing, and yet it just doesn't hold up at all. And the quality of artists working now is absolutely mind blowing. I mean, some of the guys you just have that are just, like I look at you, like guys like you and James Shields, and just some of the guys that come to the con that are just maybe not as well known, and I'm just like, man, this stuff is. If you guys got transported back to 1979, you'd be legends, because it just the quality wasn't that great. I mean, for a lot of reasons,
Darlene and Jeff and a lot of those old artists that were working for TSR at the time told me that they were under a time crunch too.
Oh, sure,
So
big time.
they showed up for 8 hours and they were expected to crank out wacky amounts of artwork.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jeff easily persevered because I mean, he won't say it. Maybe he won't say it, but I think it's because of his art school training. But he was able to bang them out so fast and with the technical skill that he had. But everybody else, like, I mean, a lot of people are harsh about the artwork in the old D&D stuff. But I mean, when you're given an hour to get something out that's going to go into print with millions of copies, the pressure is high.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, none of that was bad. I'm not saying anything that Holloway or D or anybody did was bad. It's just that nowadays we've advanced to the point where stuff now is just amazing. You look at it now like, wow, that stuff's good, but this stuff's, man, will blow me away.
Yeah, we can plan a little better. And
sure.
I mean, we have a lot more references. Larry Elmore used a lot of those Polaroid pictures for everybody that was at the TSR office to get his references. He'd have them pose and snap the Polaroids. And I think Jeff said he had like a book or a few books or something, magazines and stuff that he would flip through to get his references from. But like now we just pop on Google and we've got thousands of references.
That's something. Yeah, the internet wasn't around back then. You couldn't have those, like you said, those thousands of references. That's why Clyde Caldwell had to hire naked girls all the time. True story, by the way. That's absolutely true. to pose for all the pictures because he couldn't go on the internet and look up porn. So no, I'm just kidding, Clyde. I am joking. If Caldwell, if you're listening, but no, it was always kind of a joke in the industry that Clyde used real life models for his females. And so if you wanted to have art done by him, you also had to pay his model fees too for his model girls, who, by the way, did it naked. So, I mean, who can begrudge the guy that, right? I mean, he's a famous artist. That's what he did.
Yeah. The chainmail bikini stuff, but man, he did it so well. I mean,
he did. Yeah. Maybe because he had the live references. It might,
Clyde Caldwell art is amazing. I love it. I mean, I'm not a fan of the chainmail bikini because it's wacky. But I mean, I love Clyde Caldwell artwork, and as long as he paints those bikinis, I'm gonna check him out.
Well, what the hell?
You're in a parallel universe.
Yeah. We're going back in time. Richard says he also like Fred Fields. Now, Fred Fields also uses live models for those who don't know, and which is why a lot of his artwork, it seems like it's almost photorealistic. Those are real people. I've seen some of the pictures sometimes of the picture he drew and the real person, and he's using absolutely real models. Now, the one thing where it doesn't work for Fred is when he tries to do somebody like Drist or somebody, and he uses Bob down the street. It's just like he's done. Well, I'm trying to think of a specific one where he did a female. I think it was Caddy Bree or something, and he used a buddy of his. Or a female friend, and who looked nothing like the description in the books, and I think he got a lot of complaints about that. But his stuff is really good. It's almost, like I said, it's almost photorealistic. It's so lifelike. Some of Fred's stuff.
Yeah, Larry depends heavily on references too, and he'll take a lot of pictures and reference them, and draw them and redraw them until he gets it right, and then he's got this printer, I guess, that. After he does the drawing so many times and he gets it arranged, he takes it and he gets it printed on Masonite, and then he paints over that. Yeah, it's a really interesting process. It's one of those things that if you come to the artist gatherings while we're at North Texas or at GaryCon or something, you learn these things. I
missed it this year at North Texas because I don't know if that was the night I was sick or the day I was sick or that's the day I went to the basketball game without. I can't remember. I was doing something, but those are always fun because you all sit around and draw and pass around drawings. It's just really cool.
Yeah, we draw, we talk about art, and like people that it's sort of like a more informal than doing a panel, which feels a little stiff. So we all sort of sit around a table and doodle and talk about working in the field. And we've had a few people show up with their portfolios, and we'll do a portfolio review.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm going to try to bring that to Ice and Dice. They're going to do a Kickstarter to fund Ice and Dice convention in January.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Randy Price is doing it. So I'm looking forward to going there. I got on the guest list.
Oh, good. Well, good. Do you ever go to Con on the Cob? I know that's a large artist type
No, I
convention gathering.
wanted to while we were in Milwaukee because I know Jason goes. Jason
Yeah,
Brown
Jason
goes,
does. Yeah.
but I didn't get to go to that
But
one.
it's usually right around Game Hall, right? Isn't it always right around Game Hall?
It's right. Yeah. No. It's right around Gen Con, which makes it. I believe it's usually the beginning of August. I can't remember. Maybe you're right, Eric. I don't remember.
Oh, is it?
It
No,
may,
I thought it was around. I thought it was around
maybe
Game Hall because I remember before I went to Game Hall, I had friends pushed me to go to Con in the Cob. I was like,
maybe you're right.
yeah,
You
they
could
were
be right
both
there.
at the same weekend or consecutive weekend. I do believe. By the way, I had to switch to my iPhone because
Oh, there you go.
stupid me, the iPad was not charged. So that just would have been me.
So now you're really,
second time.
boy, you're really taking it. I mean, that's like almost like living in the backwoods there with your iPhone. Gosh.
Well, you know what this is? When I have called the show, cable access, those cable access TV channels that you used to see as a kid, because like we have to give the community access to a channel so we can screw them out of their cable fees anyway. This is that. This is that fucking show. If you're a New Yorker, I'm Uncle
Amen.
Floyd right now. Okay, if you remember Uncle Floyd.
So we didn't have Easley for the second year in a row, which really sucked because obviously, he's still in that target demo of people who shouldn't be around COVID, and so he did a great piece of work for us. But Lloyd, you got to be pretty good friends with Jeff over the years, haven't you? I know when you were in Wisconsin, you and him used to hang out and stuff.
Yeah, Jeff Easley is awesome. I mean, again, part of it was Doug. I mean, early in coming to North Texas RPG, he just stuffed me and Jeff into the same room together, and side by side at a booth. Like one of the first times I really got to hang out with Jeff was at North Texas, and Doug showed up with a bunch of art supplies and was like, "Hey, I want you to paint something." So I'm left like I have to do this artwork next to Jeff Easley. Like so there's no like,
and you're sweating and like working as hard as you can. Jeff's like. It's like a work of art. You're just like, I'm working as hard as I can. Oh my god!
And he's really like interesting because like he gets the canvas out, he sets it up, and he got a pencil, and he's just sort of like, "Let's go get lunch." And there's a great drawing on there, And then he'll come back and he gets out the ochre and gets the wash on and like paints for I don't know what in my mind was like maybe 20 minutes or something. He's like, "Let's go get dinner." And I was like, okay. And there's like this like great underpainting already. I'm
like I can never catch up. Damn it.
I know. My painting was like a hot mess, and it was like all pink and like I
love that. Matter of fact, we have that at the warehouse still, and I've been begging Doug to sell that to me for years. I love that painting you did.
I will. But 3/4 of the way through the time that we were given, I whitewashed the whole thing and started from
I remember that. You did. Yeah, that was great.
I did. And Jeff was, and some advice that Jeff gave me was just still great advice. He's like, when you go to a convention and they want you to draw something, never do a pretty girl or anything like that. Do undead, because if you screw it up, nobody knows.
Do a dead girl, not a pretty girl.
Yeah, and they did that year. That was the one where you had the undead with the sword coming around the mountain. Yeah.
Did you remember?
Yeah. And Jeff was like, I mean, I love Jeff. He's a great friend. And while we lived in Milwaukee, I asked him one time, I'm like, look, I don't know, if I come to your house and mow your lawn or something, if I buy you lunch, would you give me a critique? So I had all these pen and inks and stuff. He's like, yeah, just bring all your pen and inks and we'll get lunch at Sue Wings. And I said, okay. I brought a big stack of artwork and he flipped through it. He's like, it's pretty good. Let's order lunch. That was the critique I got from Jeff Easley.
Well, tell the story. One of my favorite Jeff Easley stories. Tell me the story. Tell the story about the paintings in his shed or whatever. Do you remember this? Do you remember this story about when you're putting the lawnmower up and there's a bunch of canvases in there? Do you remember this story at all?
No, that wasn't me. I thought
that was you.
It wasn't me. I offered a number of times, like if he would like teach me to paint or something, I'd come and mow his lawn, do his dishes, and whatever he wanted, But he just like, he was just like, yeah, we'll talk about your art. We bring it over, we'll look at it. But it was never like, no, I don't know. Jeff isn't. If you just hang around Jeff long enough, you'll figure out how he works, it's like he's not going to explain it. I don't know if he can explain it.
Well, some of the people that are as talented as he is, they can't really, right? It's like a writer that's a great writer. I mean, you know, I mean, can a Hemingway or Steinbeck give a class on how they wrote? No, because it's just something you either got or you don't, right? You got it or you don't have it.
Well, Jeff works hard at it. I mean, I don't think like one of the biggest disservices to the art world was Frank Frazetta when he did that film. I can't remember what it was, like Painting the Fire or whatever. He made it sound magical. He's like, I don't know, they just said draw a girl, and I could draw a girl. Like, you know, like he's gifted from God. But what he doesn't tell everybody is that he spent years and years studying under a master painter and going to the Bronx Zoo and drawing all the animals and all these other things. You know?
Sure, it's about practice. Yeah, it's practice.
And Jeff does that all the time.
Yeah.
Like he's always looking at references and drawing models and doing things, and he's always like sort of doodling. So Jeff can pull an elf out of his ear because he's worked hard at it. You know, he's really developed the skill, and I really like Jeff's artwork, even if some of it, like sometimes his doodles are a little anatomically off. They carry a lot of energy because he's working with composition and stuff. I may have just derailed this whole show.
I think you're right. Jeff's composition is one of the best things. I think Jeff's composition is something I think is amazing. I mean, there's a few artists I look at, I really enjoy their composition. Keith Parkinson was one. I love Keith's stuff is so memorable because it's just the composition is so amazing to all his art. But I think Easily does that too. I think his composition is so cool. You know, he obviously knows how to, you know, the focus and all the art rules they teach you about. This has to go here and this point's there, and you know, and he just has that all right up here in his head.
Yeah, and it just comes from practice. But I mean, he's really a great guy. I mean, he's and he's been really supportive. And if I call and ask for advice or whatever, and he answers. But you just
hello, Courtney Campbell. Courtney Campbell just. Hey Courtney, how's it going? Den Beauvoir as well. Yeah, Den's stuff is really, really good. Den's still drawing stuff too, which I was surprised to find out. I hadn't seen anything he'd done in years. So Den's still doing things. Now that we're about 30 minutes more of the show, we want to start talking more general gaming stuff, Eric? And then, of course, our buddy Lloyd can join us in I love talking about artists. I don't know if everybody else wants to just keep rolling about artists, but I mean, I love Lloyd's stories about I know what I wanted to ask Lloyd about something else too, is that, so you're on staff, not only at North Texas, but at GaryCon also, correct?
Yeah, I guess they call me the art director of GaryCon. I have been for a number of years now, but I don't know. I sort of fade in and out with that title. They let me keep the title. I don't know if I'm really the art director, but I do a lot of the website stuff, and I have to I pile together a lot of the graphic design, put the t-shirts together, all that stuff. I love being on staff with GaryCon, and you know, like I said, my first illustration job was for Luke Gygax, so I kind of owe a lot of my career to Luke, and Luke's always been supportive, and just inspiration.
Did you try to get a job with TSR Games when they were hiring a while back, or did you or did you resist the siren call of that? I mean, I don't know how you.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to put that. I mean,
I just know when they were asking people for artists, please, yeah, we'd like your art, and by the way, could you sign this contract?
Well, you know,
your art.
It was either that or stick my hand in the table saw. So I mean, I don't know.
Well, that you were the one I think that broke the story that they were giving contracts to people that were like no date or anything. Yeah, just basically.
So I'm not going to say. I still won't say who it was that told me that directly. But yeah, an artist had reached out to them and not, thinking like, oh, they had a project that sounded cool, and yeah, they just sort of gave this person a contract without a numbers. It was essentially a blank contract and said it'll be a lot faster if you just sign it. And we'll write it.
Hell yeah, it would be. Dear contract, everything you draw for the next 5 years will be property of.
Of course, that person didn't sign that contract. It was
Good
like,
for them.
whoa, yeah.
I hope you.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
God.
They asked me like, does this look right to you? You know, I mean, I have an RPG Artist Hub Facebook group that's getting pretty big now. It's like 1,800, 900 people. But does this look right to you? And I have
Yeah.
like contracts up there that boilerplate contracts that artists can use. I'm like, no, this is no.
Do not sign. Do not sign, sir.
Right? Yeah, and so I don't know. I mean, I don't have a lot to say about that, but I think
Oh, I know. I'm just giving you a hard. I'm busting your balls.
I know, but it did make a lot of mileage on Twitter that I had said that there was an artist and it was asked to sign a blank contract, and it's not like I was making it up. I mean, I have nothing.
Yeah, I don't think anybody thought you were making it up because by that time, I think everybody knew exactly what was going on with that whole situation. So, yeah, it all made perfect sense.
So my comment on that was in the RPG artist group where I was like, if somebody wants you to sign a blank contract, don't sign a blank contract. Like, because they could write in like,
Oh,
yeah, we're going to pay you
that's a
$13 for
no-brainer.
500 pieces of art. You know.
Lou said, "Have you guys had Douglas Styles?" Oh, I don't know if you mean us or Gary Con. We actually had him one year. A great guy, super nice guy. I know he doesn't travel a lot. I think Gary Con's had him a few times too, right, Lloyd?
Who's
I
that?
want to say Douglas is Douglas Niles. I think he's been there a couple times. Yeah, he's been to Gamehole Con also. I saw him at Gamehole Con one year. But he's very nice. I'd love to have him back at North Texas. He just doesn't. He doesn't. One of those older guys that doesn't travel well, kind of like Jim Ward is now.
Yeah, and
so
like Margaret Weiss doesn't travel much anymore, but she'll come to Gary Con because it's close.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Terry LMD said, "What is the link to that group?" I think that's your artist group.
Yeah, it's. I was trying to load my Facebook. I was trying to load my Facebook while you was talking.
Okay.
It's the RPG Artists Hub. And for whatever reason, Facebook doesn't load well with the Elon Musk internet. I don't know.
God, he's screwing everything up.
It's so much better than DSL though.
Working? How is the satellite working?
I absolutely love the satellite. Okay, before we got that, I live in Maine in the country, and we had DSL, and I would get 0.75 up and maybe 15 down if not a lot of people were using the internet, and I paid $77 a month for premium service.
Jeez.
So when we get the satellite dish, now I get about 20 to 30 up and 85 down. And the service is getting more and more reliable every day. So I'm quite happy with it. But for whatever reason, Facebook is chunky when it loads. So I'm going to try to find that link right now.
Well, so while Lloyd's looking for that, we're going to segue into one of what's become our favorite segments here on the show in the last few weeks. It's as Eric has so aptly named it. It's called Eric. This week in
RPG this week in RPG stupid,
or this week in gaming stupid, whichever however you want to roll.
Well, either way.
And so
right.
I want to make the point that we're not always going to cover something stupid, but we're going to cover questionable things sometimes. It doesn't have to be stupid because I'm not saying everybody that appears there is stupid. I mean, we may have Lloyd on next week. He may do something ridiculous. Oh, well, then we lost Eric. So, so how's it going, Lloyd?
Well, good. I mean, do we want to talk about all the stupid crap that I've done?
Let's talk about the stupid stuff that Eric does. Since Eric's not here anymore.
How many adventures I've wrote that have been raked over the coals by the 10-foot pole reviews?
No, we love Bryce. No, we already gave Bryce a hard time last week because
hey, you know what, those 10-foot pole reviews, they don't hurt my feelings when I get a harsh review. What really bothers me is when he's right.
Well, the thing about 10-foot pole, and like I said, we give Bryce a hard time here, but it's entertainment. Those reviews are there for their entertainment. I know he takes himself very seriously, and some people do too. I read them just for the yucks most of the time.
But when he's right though, I mean, it's like every
sure.
time I read one of those, I go back and read my adventure again. I'm like, like what was I thinking?
Oh, I could do better.
Like Jesus, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I am always like, whenever there's a review or somebody gives me a review or something, I read it, but good, bad, or otherwise, because I always want to be a better writer, and I always want to make better adventures. So it really has value, but it cuts to the core when he's right. Because
And you don't want somebody blowing smoke up your ass all the time, telling you, "Oh, this is great. This is the best stuff ever." You know, like
right.
my wife would do. My wife would read something and say, "Oh, this is just, this is great." Like, well, she doesn't know anything about D&D, so yeah, of course it's great for her. You know,
so I had some playtesters once. I was like, okay, I'll send you a bunch of like free stuff. Like, I just want you to playtest it, and then they get back to me and tell me what you think. And their response was, everybody had a good time.
Oh, I can't use that, so that's great.
So when somebody writes like what's he does like a couple pages, it's like a 500 word, 1,000 word review. It really does have a value, you know,
right?
Even if it's not kind. I'm okay with it.
So we have this week in RPG Stupid, not really stupid though, but Benoit has made his second goal. Correct, Eric?
Yeah.
He has hit his goal for the second week in a row for the Marmoro Tomb. He was given an ultimatum a few weeks ago by Troll Lord Games. Like, look, we're going to have you on a strict schedule. Every week you have to hit a goal if you want these appendices to come out. And I think he's already got one better than everybody thought he would, because he hit the first week goal and he's now hit the second week goal. So we're looking at a lot of extra material now when we finally get our Memorial Tomb box sets.
Right, and the thing is, the base product is already printed. I guess Troll Lord is going to be printing these other stretch goals that are finally coming out as they get submitted. I'm happy for Ben. I am happy for Ernie, because again, this is Ernie's rep. That's also on the line, whether or not he's invested in it at the moment. His name is on the tin. Yes, Courtney. Finally. Yes.
Well, the more stretch goals that come out, I think the better for their rep, because it was looking at first like really almost none of the stretch goals would be there. And as we read over last week or the week before, some of the stretch goals were pretty ridiculous. But yeah, the more that make it onto the final project, the better. And I mean, I'm sure even Lloyd could tell us this, as many Kickstarters as Lloyd's done. One of the major traps you fall into, especially when you first start, is, hey, I need to have all these stretch goals, you know, to really push along the project. And then the more Kickstarters you do, you realize that, hey, I really don't need all these stretch goals. They're just going to, distract me from the main product here.
Well, I like stretch goals, but I mean, you can't just keep adding work for yourself that isn't done, you know? So like if I promise a stretch goal of additional pages or additional adventure content, I will pay for it ahead of time and make sure it's in my pocket, you know, like,
sure.
And then I'll have an agreement with whoever wrote it, whoever created the content. Like, look, if I can't afford it, like, I'm relying on the Kickstarter, but we've already got it, you know? So
right.
if we make the goal, then I can use it. If we don't make the goal, then you can use it. And I'll try to offer some value back or something like that. Like, but just, oh my gosh. And I know, Larry Elmore ran into that when he was working with some other person that didn't deliver stuff. Just over promising. Like, yeah, Larry Elmore can hand draw 1,000 custom pieces of artwork for people, no problem. You know, like,
yeah.
The
poor Larry. Yeah, poor Larry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say Conman Sven, but I may be
that's.
I wasn't going to mention names, so I mean.
Oh, we don't mind. We'll throw Ken under the bus whenever we get a chance.
But yeah, it's just it's easy to like get excited. Like if we hit however many dollars, we can add another book. But the reality of adding that other book is delayed delivery, and Kickstarter, like you might as well just cut your own feet off if you miss delivery by any significant amount of time.
Right.
Yeah, because it's there for everybody to see. Yeah, how late you are. So we had a Giant Lands update the other day. Probably not the update a lot of people wanted to see. I just found this today, and I sent it to Eric. We both kind of went, that's not good. But apparently, Jim Ward, author of Giant Lands, came out and said that the editor is working on books 2 and 3, and he's working on book 1. Now, my only issue with this is I believe at one point we were told this would be out in August.
Right, and
And
it's already
if they're
what, a year and a half, 2 years late. Or
yeah,
something
almost
like
2 years
that?
late. It's already almost 2 years late. Yeah. So yes, an August date now seems like that's going to be a fantasy. As a matter of fact, I would be extremely surprised to see this come out in 2021 at this point, if they're still editing books 2 and 3. And he also made mention that he is working on making or changing up character creation, which you definitely don't want to see on a book that supposedly
No.
is finished.
That's kind of like the core of a system.
Yeah, that's what's
Yeah,
scary.
pretty much. But Mike, you're leaving out the best part. So why
Uh-oh.
why is he changing it up?
Because he wants to put in a great rules edition for people who like to cosplay.
No.
Oh, that's why. Oh, because he wants to. So this is the quote. Try to find all the red flags in this quote. I'm working on book 1 to make character creation easier and give it more of a story background to make it fun to play in your parents' basement and in the Giant Lands theme park. How many red flags did you count there?
Oh, that's right. They're going to have a theme park, right?
Well, first of all, I don't. I think we've moved beyond the gamers in their parents' basement trope, and I'm really surprised.
I don't know if we have, because apparently that is a trope that might still be apropos, the right phraseology, for the Giant Lands, is that the gamers are still in their basement or their parents' basement.
I think, as God love Jim, I mean, great guy, but I think sometimes he still thinks he's in 1985, and we just don't have a lot of guys still living in their parents' basement that are. I mean, that's guys that play D&D now they're professionals. They're lawyers and engineers, and they're out there. They're doing things. And I hate to see that trope given more legs. And you're a guy in your parents' basement playing this game for little kids, and it's grown way beyond that now. It's not that game anymore.
Oh, especially if you're buying a game because James Ward's name is on the tin. Because no 20-year-old knows who James is. It's the 40 to 50 to 60-year-old. And if you're still gaming in your parents' basement at I don't know, 54, you've got a problem. And that I would certainly say, if I was still gaming in my parents' basement at 54, that would be an issue.
What about my youngest brother, who's extremely wealthy yet still has my mom do his laundry? Does that fall under? Oh wait, that's a personal issue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up there.
Mike, I had a commanding officer whose mother took his dress slacks, dry clean only, and put them through the washing machine and dryer, and then they didn't fit anymore. And I got the lads. Can you do me a favor? I need new slacks. Can you find me new dress slacks? I go, Kev, those are like made to order. It takes like 3 weeks. Oh fuck! I need them for tomorrow. I go, why? My mother washed my. She was trying to do me a favor. It's like, Kev, you got to move out of your parents' apartment. You know that. You got to move out.
Oh. My youngest brother makes 6 figures a year, and unlike Robert and I, who are we're God knows what we're doing, he's actually a professional, and he still brings his laundry to my mom's house. And I can say that because once again, my youngest brother doesn't watch the show, so he doesn't know we're getting bag on him. But I'm just anyway. But then the Giant Lands theme park comes up, and that gives me a little cringe too, because I don't know how far along they are in this theme park, but I have a feeling they haven't broke ground on it yet, so I don't know. Where's Courtney? It's the theme park in the back of a van. At this point, that would be a step up. They would actually have a place to call a theme park. I don't know what they're doing with the theme park. I don't know.
I don't know. The whole thing is just really unfortunate that we got somebody who, outside of the RPG industry, who's never contributed to the RPG industry, take the reins and try to make something try to tell the RPG industry what to do.
Sure.
Something. It was. I don't know. I just want, if somebody's going to do that kind of stuff, I want them to be a part of the RPG industry first. And I'm not talking about Jim Ward. I'm not talking about Jim.
Right.
Jim certainly contributed to the RPG industry, and he can say whatever he wants.
Well, it's just that you have, and this. I mean, it seems like we kick this dead horse a lot, but it's endemic of a lot of the problems facing the industry right now. Is you have a lot of money guys getting into the hobby because I mean, let's face it, 5e is the the tide that raises all boats, and then they've been doing that for a while now, long enough now that people are like, hey, this gaming stuff is not a fluke. I mean, this game, between Critical Role and D&D Beyond, all these different services, this is making people a lot of money. And so, the business guys jumping aboard now because they're like, well, this is actually a business opportunity. Unfortunately, they don't really know necessarily a lot about the hobby.
And like the theme park thing just doesn't fit in. Like the only place where I remember a theme park and RPGs fitting together was in the D&D cartoon.
And how'd that work out for those guys?
You see how
Not
that works
good.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, they got sent back and sent to another dimension. It didn't work out too well.
I just don't understand it. I don't understand where that thought process is, and I mean I try to wrap my head around that stuff, and I just don't get it. I'm trying.
It's not worth the mental gymnastics that you have to get through, where it's like, because I don't know if you saw the actual pictures of a playtest of this game with people wearing costumes and masks, but it isn't the RPGing that I ever did as a kid.
I don't know anything about Giant Land, so I can't comment on that. But the idea of the theme park just is the thing that just makes me wonder, like, what's going on? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I just love it or hate it, but that's just a weird business model approach. Like it's so poorly planned. It's not even thought through.
Well, you're just saying that because you're jealous. You want Floofland to make a lot of money. You got Floofland coming, I know.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You're gonna have a hot tub there at Floofland, and
Oh yeah, man. Well, when we were talking like before we started about chickens and Floof Quest, like I'm definitely gonna do a chicken Floof Quest, and it's gonna have I got Cluckingham Palace.
Oh, nice.
Is where the chickens live. And there's like a whole bunch of adventures that happen at Cluckingham Palace around here. So, and Raven just got new chickens too. So, I am quite sure that there can be chickens.
Yeah, see, I worry about Raven having chickens because I think she just got chickens because they're cute. Now, your chickens are actually working chickens, right? I mean, you get eggs and stuff from.
Well, hers will lay eggs eventually.
Well, she's going to cuddle them to death. They're not. They're probably not going to lay any eggs. They're going to be sleeping in her bedroom with her, cuddled around her. So.
Pet them and name them toys. Yeah.
Yeah, these are working animals, baby. Come on.
Those chickens that are at her mom's house, so I don't worry too much about those ones.
Oh, okay.
But they're an outlying duchy of Cluckingham, the Hendom of Cluckingham Palace.
Well, that actually leads on to something else. Matt brings up that Games Workshop is also raking in the fat monies. Games Workshop gave out £5,000 bonuses to all their employees because they made such a huge profit during the pandemic, and figure that out. I guess
the pandemic was a great time for RPGs, but you have to produce RPGs.
Yeah,
right. Well, and remember, Games Workshop doesn't produce RPGs now; they do miniatures
or minis or whatever. I mean,
well,
you got to produce something.
Right, and the thing is, miniatures are a great solo activity, right? You paint them when you're not fighting with them. So I get a feeling there's a lot of armies of orcs and Skaven and were-ats or whatever. Oh my, coming out and ready to post-COVID, ready to battle out because they did a huge amount of business.
They're so cool, but I'm still a wood block and Legos kind of miniatures person.
Well, I mean,
I'm such a terrible collector. Zach put out that box with all those minis in them, and I have tons of them on my shelf. And I don't paint them, and when we play, I still use the Legos that are at the bar.
I'm looking at your Kickstarter now. We're up to $633. I wonder if we could hit. No, we can't hit 1,000. Surely we can't hit 1,000.
No,
but we're gonna
not-
get
not what
close.
you-
We're gonna get
Oh
close, David.
yeah, we can. I mean, stuff. I mean, I've been really. Sometimes I launch a Kickstarter and I'm beside myself at how fast it does. Is the quest. There, nobody's got a poof. Oh wait, the poofy floofs are gone, aren't they?
What? You had Poofy? Oh, I did see the Poofy.
The stuffed
Floofs.
animals, yeah, the poofy
Shit.
floofs are gone. There was only 5.
Oh
I mean,
no! Yeah,
yeah.
I missed the Poofy Floof.
They are. Oh, look, let me get one. They are like so awesome.
Well, now we got it. Yeah, now I want my
The little
other
fudgy poofy
floofs.
floofs, like
Oh, no wonder.
Oh,
No wonder they went so quickly. They're cool.
This woman did like an amazing job, and she hand dyed the fabric and
Oh
everything.
wow!
Yeah, like she made this color. Raven designed them, and they've got little toe beans. Raven designed them, and she got the first one, and it was quite green, and she asked if we could get something a little more swampy green or something, and she went out and bought the more fabric and hand dyed it and went through this whole process of making them. Yeah, she's an excellent seamstress, but
Damn.
because they're so like time consuming, I didn't want to promise more of them in the Kickstarter and overwhelm her. She's one person.
Oh yeah, you don't want to have her do it 100 and then have her like, my fingers are broken, I can't do. Then you're stuck,
Right.
like you see. Yeah, then you get stuck.
So my plan is like maybe like she's gonna get back to me, and like if she can do, I don't know, 10 more or something, I'll order them and then bring them to a convention or something.
Oh, great.
Or put them up online or something like that.
Yeah,
So
put them up online. They'll sell quickly.
yeah, it's as we go. And then like I don't know what the next floof quest is going to be, but it'll be some other wizard familiar. Even in this one, at the back of the adventure, if you want like your wizards to be able to summon these familiars in your regular D&D game, there's stats for that too. I thought that was fun. A fun
Cool.
addition. Yeah, because there's like a warlock one, and he explodes if he gets mad and stuff like that.
Well, do we have Eric? Do we have any other news in this week in gaming stupid or this week in gaming period? Any other interesting tidbits you've run across?
I'm trying.
When you work,
see, it's different not having my regular desktop in front of it by second.
Oh,
where
no.
I'd have all this stuff set up. But TSR has started the process of, I'm not sure if I covered this last week, of abandoning some of their graphical trademarks. And if I was home, I would show you visually which ones, but it's 3 of them.
Oh boy! No.
If you were an OSR fan, the one that resembles our most popular OSR logo with the TSR on it is being abandoned. I believe the medallion is being abandoned, and the wizard icon is being abandoned. So they're abandoning 3 that we know of. And from my observation, it looks like TSR itself, those 3 initials, have not been trademarked. So I don't know how that works. I'm confused.
Yeah, the more this goes on, the more and more it looks like somebody might have got a letter in the email, and they're being told certain things are going to fly and certain things aren't going to fly.
Yeah.
That whole battle for that logo, it's like the logo isn't selling anything anymore.
It was a weird situation.
Well, here's the thing: the graphical representations of the old TSR logos. The idea, as of last spring, was that they were securing the trademarks because they were going to license them out to other publishers. So you could have the TSR Dragon Medallion logo and publish and have that on your products. Why you would want a logo on your products that you don't have control over, I don't know. But that was an initial business plan that was announced last fall from TSR 3, or whatever you want to call them. So, I don't know. I know they have a lot of tchotchkes and stuff that they sell at the museum with these logos. So 6 of one, a half dozen of the other. Some people like them. Some people, it's very nostalgic. So, oh yeah, there was the Sandy Peterson controversy of somebody that John Miller just brought up, and you know what? That just shows that when you are a publisher, there are certain discussions that you should avoid, because even your personal opinions will carry over to your private business. And here's the issue with Sandy Peterson, is that brought focus on the fact that his Kickstarters are not fulfilling. Not Chaosium Kickstarters, but his Cthulhu War Kickstarters are not fulfilling not because they didn't fund, and not because there isn't money to fulfill them. There's not enough funding to fulfill them and put it out in the retail market. So since they can't print enough copies for the retail market, they aren't printing any copies.
And that was shocking to me, because I know that they had problems with late Kickstarters, the Sandy Peterson stuff. I didn't know that this was even an issue. So I was actually pretty shocked when this came out that they might not have any. They might not print it just because they're not going to be able to, I guess, make money off it in the long run.
Right.
Which is, like I said, I was kind of shocked, because I had assumed that they were making boatloads of money, because they were making boatloads of money for a while.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but that sounds like a bit of a pyramid scheme gone bad. We saw that with Center Stage Miniatures, right? Where the idea was that you have to get the next Kickstarter money to pay for the initial Kickstarter plus the retail printing of the products. And if you miss a step, if you somehow screw that up, you screw it all up.
Yeah.
And it all comes crashing down like a house of cards, because you're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. Courtney, being talented in one field doesn't make you talented in another. If you're a public figure, there's pressure to stay in your lane. That is true.
And you think people would have learned that by now? That, I mean, honestly, the best advice people get on this is just, if you have a social media platform, just use it for social media promotion. And honestly, if you can afford it, have somebody do it for you that's professional, that knows what they're doing. Nothing ever good comes about sharing anything of your personal opinions on social media, because no matter what you say, you're going to alienate half of your audience. And so basically you just took half the people that like you and you caused them not to like you, which is never good. That does the opposite of what social media promotion is supposed to do, which is give you more sales. You've just cut your sales down, because half the people that you deal with aren't going to want to. You're never going to please everybody. You're not going to say anything that's going to make everybody happy. If you say you love kittens, you're going to have all the puppies people out there that hate you now. I mean, there's just nothing you can do that's going to really help you there. I think the more savvy people out there, just like I said, they either hire somebody to do it, or they just have the most generic announcements you've ever seen. Oh, we have a Kickstarter coming out, or we have this product coming out.
Matt, is Sandy Peterson's company going to give the money back? It sounds like
there's absolutely no reason. They're not giving any money back. No, nobody gives money back. Zero, nada, nobody.
They are apparently I think the stated reason was they had an investor who fell through. So basically what they're saying is that they need a third party to come in, give them the money to print this in the numbers they need to get the discount they want, so they can make money on the aftermarket. And I believe that is the issue. And if you're a backer, you were just told effectively that we were just using you, and you will continue to be used. And I personally think that's more upsetting and more detrimental for the hobby than anything that Sandy said about his personal beliefs. I think that the reality is that a company like that is using the backers to. When you back a project, you're always thinking that you're backing it to maybe come to life, and that you are going to be made
Yeah.
whole. And to be told that you really don't matter. We could print this. We could make you whole, but it's not going to make us enough money to do so. So we're
Sure.
better off not making you whole. You got to wait. That's why would you ever back a project from a company like that again? So I think that the Peterson Games for their Cthulhu Wars is. I think that's like, unless he licenses it out to a third party who takes over distribution, I think that's the death knell, personally.
And the thing is, it can make money, because obviously it's made money in the past.
Right.
But yeah, that's just an kind of an ugly revelation. That hey, you don't really matter. This is and that's one thing you don't want your customers to hear.
Yeah. Matt, it's funny, Matt off on a small scale, effectively. Yeah.
Every
again,
single person, like whenever somebody backs a Kickstarter or buys something on my Etsy or whatever, if like I am over the moon about that. Like, it's really important to make every single person that is opening a wallet for your business, understand that like that means something to you. And if you're just discarding those backers, I don't understand how those business models work. I don't understand like what the thought process is underneath, like, I don't know. I did one Kickstarter where I grossly underestimated the shipping overseas. I think I was only charging like $5 or $6 to ship overseas, and I didn't make any money on the Kickstarter, but we still sent them overseas,
Right.
Sure.
You do that, that's part of the growth. It's part of doing business. You learn those things, and you don't have to make a profit every time, but you have to like appreciate the people that are opening their wallets to make your business float.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you have to think ahead, and that's the issue. You have to think far ahead. What does this look like? I mean, I've been buying and selling stuff online since 1992, and one of the things you realize every once in a while, you're just going to have to eat it. I mean, either something gets lost in the mail or it gets damaged, and they come to you, and they don't want to hear about insurance or this or that. They just want to say, "Hey, I ordered this $100 box set from you, and it never got here. What are you going to do about it?" And you're perfect within your rights to say, well, nothing. Sorry, you took the chance, you bought it, but believe me, every person that bitches, I mean, every time you screw somebody, that person will talk to 100 people. If you make somebody happy, they'll talk to 10 people, but if you screw somebody, they will talk to everybody. Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. But I think you're even overestimating it. The human nature is if something good happens to you, you're happy, you're content, you walk away. If something bad happens, you bitch about it, and you want to make sure people know that you're dissatisfied. That's why how rare is it for an employee of any job to get a letter sent praising the work that they did, but how quick are people to send letters if they feel dissatisfied with somebody they interacted with? So, go figure. Oh, dude, we are well over 2 hours.
Yes.
Seems like we just got here with Lloyd. Come on, man.
It always seems like that.
Well, I'm always happy to be online with you guys, and I really appreciate you like letting me come on and let me launch the Kickstarter on the stream. It means a lot to me.
So give us an update. What are we sitting at now?
Let me see.
$20,000. No.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. 633 right now.
Nice.
That's really great. I'm really happy about that. I'm really glad that we can print these out. So that's whatever. I've got a bunch of stretch goals in here. I was pretty cautious about picking them, like I always am. At 1,500, I'm going to upgrade the print quality. So there are 3 different levels of full color printing I can do, but I start at the middle one anyway. So at 1,500, I'm going to go to the 50-pound paper, from 50-pound to 70-pound, and it's a color upgrade too. And then at 3,000, we go to the premium color. Then we're gonna add stickers and character sheets and stuff. I want to print some of those character sheets.
Ooh,
That's
stickers.
where I'm really at, is the character sheets. Like I want I was gonna do greeting card character sheets, but I'm discarding that, and they'll probably just be full page character sheets, so that you can, when you go to the conventions, you can just zip them right out.
Oh yeah, that's what we didn't talk about. You gonna plan? Are you gonna run this at the next conventions you're working, or?
Yes, actually, the reason why I wrote it was because I wanted something more enjoyable, less stressful for me to run at a convention. So yes, that's why this exists, is sort of outside of like Raven making the artwork. But once she made the artwork, I'm
Okay.
like, this is going to be great. Yeah, so it's going to be super fun. I got to put it out to a couple of playtest things, my playtest people and stuff, and see what they think of it. But it's fully my intention to bring it to conventions and run it a bunch of times, because it's so easy to do, and it's like,
Right.
it's introductory, and it's just fun, and you just hang out and you tell the story.
Awesome.
All right,
I'm
then
looking forward to it.
I am too, and something fun to have to play with the kids. Hopefully, play with the kids. And next week we're going to have Mark Greenberg on to talk about Necropolis, which will, he's really boring and long-winded. So this is a lot of fun here. No, just joking, Mark. No, so we got Mark on next week. Who do we have coming up also, Eric? We got some.
Joe Block, the Greyhawk Ragnar.
Oh yeah, Joe Block.
We don't have a date
Ragnar.
set, but I gotta track that down.
Mm-hmm.
We have it's not announced because we haven't confirmed it yet, so I'm not gonna say who. But we have somebody who might surprise people. But hopefully they say yes. I can't see it. Not saying it, but we'll see. And I don't know. Dude, we are forgetting somebody. I can't remember who it is. We have people. If I had my list that I have at home, I would know. But again, I didn't know I was going to be in the Poconos.
And once you go to the Poconos, man, it's just
Monday
like everything's forgotten. It's like I don't know my name. I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Yeah, nothing.
We know we were going to come up here until about 9 o'clock Monday night. So it was last minute putting stuff together. And
next week, Mark.
Afternoon tomorrow.
Next week, Mark Greenberg, and next week we're going to talk about Necropolis, and so that's all we need to know right now. So we'll play it by ear for the rest of the year. So and next week I get to go on vacation. This week Eric's in the Poconos. Next week I'm in South Texas. So I'm not going to have a great vista behind me though. I'm probably going to have a parking lot.
Well, now
I'll be in a hotel room, so I won't have anything that awesome behind me.
Yeah, Rich. I am not not used to the fresh air. I haven't been up here since I don't know April, May. So it was a great chance to get up here, and hopefully come the fall we'll be doing this more often. We're transitioning Rach from being a social worker to being a yoga instructor, so that should free up some time.
For coming, Lloyd, we appreciate it.
No, thank you so much again. Like I really appreciate the opportunity, and next time I'll be in my redneck hot tub when I'm online.
Do the whole show for your redneck hot tub. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
No, that would certainly be interesting, and I'll probably be jealous. And if Rach watches it, she'll be like, "We could do that. We could get that together." So, folks, as always, and I do this every time I do one of these recordings. We are still in the midst of the world of COVID. Please, I'm not telling you what to do. All I'm going to say is use your common sense. You can't keep others that you care about healthy and safe if you yourself aren't healthy and safe. Use your common sense. Talk to a medical professional. Ignore the talking heads, because talking heads don't know shit. Okay? Aside from that, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice. And I'll be back tomorrow. I'll probably record it from here.
This is relevant. Glenn's going to be out of pocket for a while. So what are you doing on Friday nights now for next few weeks?
Glenn's going to be out of. Well, I think this Friday is Joe the Warrior. And then we'll see about Glenn. Glenn is currently starting a new job. So
he's moving. So I think if you need me to
that's
fill
it.
in, give me a call, man. I don't know what Glenn does on the show, but I can probably do what Glenn does. So
all right. More
fill
bad
in.
Mike is always more. More bad better.
What did I just volunteer myself for? Oh well.
Awesome, folks. I'll be back again tomorrow, and if you're on Discord tomorrow night, 9 p.m., we will be hanging out as usual. Alrighty. Later, folks.
Later.
I should hold the phone down.